Alright YouTube, so with Fallout 76 we are obviously getting an entirely new perk system, similar to what they did with Fallout 4. It was very, very different from what they did with 3 in New Vegas. And I was never really a fan of the perk system with Fallout 4. It's just very, very simple. A lot of us liked the actual stats we had, the actual skills we had with Fallout 3 New Vegas, and it got really dumbed down with Fallout 4. And if I'm completely honest, with Fallout 76, it looks like it's even more dumbed down because from the little bit of perks that we have seen in this game, it looks like there's not really any requirements to take on a perk except for obviously having the previous rank of a perk. Like, it doesn't look like you gotta be like a certain level, which was something at least to Fallout 4's credit a little bit. You couldn't just level up a few times and take on all 4 ranks of a perk. Like, each rank required at least a certain level. Like, you might have to be like level 10 or 15 to take on the second rank. Anyways, today I thought we'd look at the perks that we have seen, the handful of perks that we've seen from Fallout 76, kind of discuss them, talk about them, compare them to previous games, and then ask a few questions about the perks. And so far we've only seen perks under 3 of the special stats, which is Charisma, Intelligence, and Perception, and only a couple under each of those except for Perception, which we've only seen 1 perk for. First up, we'll look at Perception, which is described as, Perception affects your awareness of nearby enemies, your ability to detect stealthy movement, and your weapon accuracy in VATS. So first up, and the only one we've seen so far for the Perception tree, is Concentrated Fire, which has 3 ranks, and each rank says, every VATS attack on the same body part gains 10% accuracy and damage, the second rank is 50% accuracy and damage, and the third rank is 20% accuracy and damage. Now this is the actual perk that makes me question whether or not there's any kind of requirements for each rank of a perk, because there's nothing here. It doesn't show us that, like, rank 2 and 3 require you to be at least a certain level or whatever the case. It just shows that it's the second rank and third rank. Whereas with Fallout 4, for example, you needed to have Perception at 10 for one, and we don't even know if we're going to be able to put points into special stats or not with this game. And with, like, the second rank of Concentrated Fire, you need to be level 26, and with the third rank, you need to be level 50. But something to take note of, if you look at the description of each rank of this perk from Fallout 4, it actually is weaker in Fallout 4 than it is in this game, because it's only the third rank of Concentrated Fire in Fallout 4 that actually increases your damage, whereas every rank of Concentrated Fire in Fallout 76 increases your damage. So this perk will definitely be stronger in Fallout 76. Next up we have Charisma, which is described as, Charisma is your ability to lead and help others. It allows you to share higher point perk cards and also affects your rewards from group missions and prices when you barter. So really quickly before we hop into the perks, I have a couple questions. It actually mentions under the Charisma skill tree that it allows you to share higher point perk cards. So I'm assuming this means that some perks are going to cost more than others, whereas in Fallout 4, every perk only costs 1, like whenever you level up you got 1 skill point or whatever, 1 perk point, and it's all you needed as long as you met the level requirements. So maybe this means if you don't take whatever is under the Charisma skill tree, you can only share low-costing perks with each other, perks that maybe only cost 1 point at a time. The description also mentions that Charisma gives you better prices with bartering, which I'm assuming is something that is like perk-based. Maybe you take a perk and it gives you better prices, but I'm still wondering how bartering works exactly amongst players. Like, can I try to sell you something for 20 caps and you can throw out, I'll give you 15 caps instead? Like, can we actually barter with each other, or are there all the prices set in stone? Now, first up for the Charisma skill tree, we have Inspirational, which says, when you are on a team, you and your teammate gain 5% more experience. Now, this perk has 3 ranks to it. We know that by the stars in the bottom right, and of course it costs 1 perk. You can know that by the number on the top left. But we don't know what the other ranks do to this, and it's very different from what Inspirational did in Fallout 4. As I mentioned previously, Inspirational was very, very different in Fallout 4. For one, it's a Charisma 8 perk, but it literally just like made your companions stronger. They did more damage, they resisted more damage, and they could carry more like things for you or whatever the case. Like, it has nothing to do with gaining experience. Now, this perk's not exactly good or bad. There's nothing wrong with gaining more experience, but it is a wasted perk slot. But luckily, Fallout 76 has a different kind of perk system, and you can change perks essentially whenever you want to. So you can take this early on to grind out levels faster, and that's completely fine. But if you're trying to play competitively, like, this is a wasted perk slot. We have a limited amount of perks that you can have, and having 1 perk that just lets you gain more experience really isn't that useful if you're trying to do like PvP and shit like that. You should have something that lets you do more damage, heal more, resist more damage, whatever, things like that. Also, my main complaint with it is it says when you're on a team, you gain more experience. So this isn't even something that benefits you if you're trying to play by yourself. It seems like you have to be on a team, in a squad, to gain more experience. Next up, we have the Lone Wanderer perk, which is oddly enough actually costs 2, which is kind of interesting because pretty much every perk we've seen so far costs 1 perk point. But the one perk that benefits you from playing alone, Bethesda is going to make you pay 2 perk points for. Anyways, there's 3 ranks to it, and it says, when adventuring alone, take 10% less damage and gain 10% AP regen, like people say that word differently, I don't know how to pronounce it. Now this is absolutely one of my favorite perk trees from Fallout 4, because I always use Dogmeat as my companion, and for whatever reason in Fallout 4, Dogmeat doesn't actually count as a companion. So you still get all the benefits from the Lone Wanderer perk tree, but again, right here, the description of it is very different from how it is in Fallout 4. With Fallout 4, the first 2 ranks of Lone Wanderer are still about taking less damage, but they're also about increasing your carry weight, which is where it differs with Fallout 76. You just regenerate more AP or whatever for like bats and everything. And with the 3rd rank of Lone Wanderer, you do more damage, and then with the 4th rank that was added with the Far Harbor like add-on, you just get more AP, which is where it is similar to Fallout 76. So in Fallout 76, the Lone Wanderer perk is a bit weaker than it was in Fallout 4. The first rank in Fallout 4 resisted 15% damage, whereas the first rank in this one resists 10%. But with the second rank of the Lone Wanderer perk in Fallout 4, it literally doubles the amount of damage you resist and your carry weight. So I think it's safe to assume with at least the second rank of this one in Fallout 76, it'll probably double. We'll probably resist 20% damage, and we'll probably regen 20% more AP. As for what the 3rd rank will do, there's no telling because it literally changes entirely what the perk does in Fallout 4, so it might change entirely with this game as well. And last up for the Charisma perks that we have seen, we have Vampire, which of course costs 1. There are 3 ranks to it, and it says Blood Packs now satisfy thirst, no longer irradiate, and heal 50% more. Now this perk has me a bit triggered if I'm honest. This was like a passive perk you could get in Fallout 3 called Hematophagy, where your Blood Packs just gave you 20 HP instead of 1. Obviously, it's better in this game because it gets rid of, there's no irradiation, it gets rid of thirst because survival mechanics are going to be a main part of the game. Like, how often are we going to be finding blood packs that it's worth taking this perk? It just seems like a random wasted perk slot to me. And last up, we have the Intelligence skill tree, which used to be my favorite. Before Fallout 4, this was one you always put like 9 or 10 into, so you got all the points you could for skills. Obviously, we don't have to deal with that anymore. But the description reads, Intelligence is a measure of your overall mental acuity and affects your ability to hack terminals, the condition and durability of items that you craft, and the return you get from scrapping. So this sounds like the perk tree you want to mess with if you're going to be crafting things, because things that you craft have better condition and durability, and of course you get a better return whenever you scrap things, which obviously you would scrap stuff to get materials to craft stuff. So this will definitely be the crafting skill tree. So first up for the Intelligence perks, we have First Aid, which costs 1 perk point, and there's 4 ranks to it, and it simply says, Stimpaks restore 10% more lost health. This is definitely one of the more solid perk choices, even with as simple as it is. Stimpaks are your main healing item in the Fallout series. Yeah, you can use something else. You can use water, food, or whatever the case, but Stimpaks are generally going to be your best bet, so why not make those heal you more? Now, First Aid isn't a perk we've had before. It was an old skill from Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics, and then with Fallout 3 New Vegas, it got merged with the Doctor skill to become the overall medicine skill that we used to have in Fallout 3 New Vegas, so we don't have anymore. But its Fallout 4 counterpart would be the Medic perk, which does affect the way Stimpaks heal you, but it also affects the way Radaway gets rid of radiation, which this doesn't seem to do, at least with the first rank. Now, each rank of this perk just makes the Radaway and Stimpaks stronger, and by the 4th rank, it just completely heals your health with Stimpaks and gets rid of all your radiation with Radaway. Now, this perk in Fallout 76 is very different, especially with the amount that it heals, and there is 4 ranks to it, just like the Medic perk, but I doubt by the 4th rank on this, it would heal you 100%, because that makes Stimpaks a little too strong. If you're in a PvP situation, and you're just about to kill me, and I just hit myself with a Stimpak, and I have 100% health, that'd be kind of stupid. So by the 4th rank, I'd assume it's maybe like a 40% gain with Stimpaks or a 50%. And it also makes me wonder what's going on with the Radaway. Is like making the Radaway stronger in this game, is it like a separate perk tree? Or does maybe the later ranks of this affect your Radaways? I don't know. Next up we have Hacker, which is pretty self-explanatory. It makes you better at hacking like computers or whatever, but it says gain +1 hacking skill. There's only 2 ranks to this, it costs 1. It's kind of interesting because with the previous Fallout games, with Fallout 3 New Vegas at least, usually the hacking and like lockpick skills or perks have like 4 ranks to them. So for like easy, normal, hard, and very hard. And this seems to only have 2, so maybe you only take this twice and you can like hack every terminal. And if maybe the lockpicking only has 2 as well, you can take that twice and pick every lock. I actually came across the second rank of Hacker, which says terminal lockout time is reduced when things go wrong. Now, we've seen similar perks like this in the past that allow you to re-hack a computer if you mess it up at least one more time, and something like that for lockpicks as well. So I'm wondering if like the lockpick skill tree would be similar to this, 2 ranks +1 on the first thing to lockpicking, and the second one maybe lets you retry a lock if you break a lockpick off in it. We don't really need to compare it to any of the previous Fallout games like hacking perks or whatever, other than the fact that it has less. It only has 2 slots for it, or 2 ranks to it, so I'm kind of curious about that. That's pretty much it. And last up is Makeshift Warrior, which we don't know the cost of it, and there are 3 ranks to it, and it says your melee weapons are 30% less likely to break and cheaper to repair. Now, there isn't a Fallout 4 comparison for this, simply because we did not have a repair system when it came to Fallout 4, but I'm assuming there might be something from 3 or New Vegas that I'm not thinking of right now. I can't remember the name of them. But the perk's not bad. I'm not a melee weapon guy, but I'm assuming there'd be something like this for pretty much every type of weapon in the game. There's probably something like this for maybe, well, explosives probably wouldn't have a repair system, but like regular guns, energy weapons, and like the big explosive guns, like the Fat Man or missile launcher or minigun, things like that. So it all comes down to the type of weapons you like to use in the Fallout series. I would choose at least one weapon type and max out that version of it, like this makeshift warrior one. So if you're into melee weapons, I would take this, all 4 ranks of it. That way your melee weapons tear down slower and they're easier to repair. So as I mentioned previously, I still have some questions when it comes to the perk system and the perk trees and stuff like that in Fallout 76. And for starters, whenever you go under one of these special stats to pick a perk, everything we've seen so far, there's only 3 perks at a time. So I guess my question is, why is there only 3 at a time? Do you like scroll down, hit down on the D-pad and there's more perks? Or like how are the perks decided? Is it random? There's also those dotted outline areas to the left and right of these perks. Are those like perks you've already taken, or do more show up as you level up? I don't know, these are just questions we still have. And also we know that we can share perks amongst our group of players. If there's like a team of 4 of us, we can share perks amongst each other. But my question is every perk shareable? Like if I take on the hacking skill, is everybody able to hack better? And then you have the inspirational one we looked at earlier, where when you're in a team with other players, you gain more experience and so do they. But if, say, all 4 of us have that, do we gain like a shit ton of experience at one time? And I'm assuming there are the perks that allow you to do more damage with certain types of weapons, and I mentioned this previously in one of my other videos, like if we all took on like the one that makes our regular guns do more damage, are we all doing like 400% damage at a time and stuff like that? We need to know which ones can stack and which ones can't, and which ones can be shared, and if there are some that can't be shared. So that's all the perks we know of so far for Fallout 76. Before Fallout 4 came out, they actually released the entire perk chart and you could plan out your character's builds, and I'm wondering if they're going to do something like that for this game, because this is definitely a game where you probably need to like decide what you're going to do with your character more so than any of the other Fallout games, especially since there's a lot of PvP stuff. Like your character build kind of matters more now than it ever has because of like the team-based stuff, the role-playing, and the PvP. Like you kind of really need to know what you're going to do with your character. So if they end up letting us look at all the perks before the game releases, we'll definitely look over all of them and talk about them, discuss them, maybe even compare them to like Fallout 4 or maybe Fallout 3 New Vegas' perks, like their equivalent. But there's a good chance it might be waiting until the beta instead of dropping actual information before the game, because the beta will show us literally everything about the game. Anyways, my dudes, the video's been long enough. Let me know your thoughts below about the perks we took a look at today. What do you think some of their later ranks are going to be? What do you think some of the perks are they're going to return? What do you think? Do you have an idea of what maybe some of the new perks might be? And if you went on to enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at @TheDashingDavid. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.